For 11 years, I drove the exact same route to Wednesday night Bible class, 50 weeks out of the year, right past a gray house where a man sat on his porch in a metal rocking chair under a light that was always on. I made that trip roughly 550 times without stopping to learn his name. It is a very modern kind of spiritual nearsightedness. In Luke, a religious lawyer approaches Jesus with a question, "Who is my neighbor?" But Luke gives us the man's underlying motive. He asked the question desiring to justify himself. He wasn't looking for a dictionary definition. He was looking for a boundary line, a convenient edge where his responsibilities stopped so he could stand safely on the other side of it. Both of us had all the data we could ever need. I had a Bible sitting on the passenger seat of my car, and the lawyer had the words of Deuteronomy and Leviticus committed perfectly to memory. Who is my neighbor is a question that wants offense. We use religious obligations, a packed calendar, a Wednesday night class, a church budget, to define exactly who we don't have to help. The lawyer gave a flawless technical recitation of the command to love your neighbor. I gave a polite two-finger wave off the steering wheel as I drove past a lonely man in the dark. Information alone doesn't cure the condition. You can know the exact wording of the ancient law or the precise route to your church building and completely fail to see the road right in front of you. Jesus answers the lawyer's question by placing a hypothetical traveler on the long, winding descent from Jerusalem to Jericho. It was an isolated, notorious stretch of road where a man is beaten, robbed, and left for dead in a ditch. The first two people to find him are a priest and a Levite. It is easy to label them as villains, but they weren't. They were religious professionals equipped with highly defensible reasons for doing absolutely nothing. Under the Levitical code, coming into physical contact with a corpse rendered a priest ceremonially unclean. It meant a mandatory period of disqualification from his temple duties. From a strict procedural angle, stepping around that beaten body was the safe, responsible choice. It is the first century equivalent of checking the dash clock, realizing it is 6:51 p.m., and deciding you cannot pull in with the ambulance because you are scheduled to teach a lesson on the fruit of the Spirit. The religious system wins out. The Greek word for neighbor is plesion. It requires no shared nationality or religion. It translates to the one who is near. The lawyer wanted a hard edge, but plesion erases it. Anyone within physical reach qualifies for your care. Luke makes a point to use the same verb for all three travelers on that road. The priest saw him, the Levite saw him, the Samaritan saw him. The breakdown for the religious professionals didn't happen in the retina. It happened in the heart. If you shrink your circle of concern down entirely to your own congregation, your own rituals, and your own tribe, you can step over a dying man and call it faithfulness. Jesus hands the hero's role to a Samaritan, a man his Jewish audience intensely despised. The Samaritan had a dozen social, cultural, and religious excuses to keep walking, far more than the priest did. But he stops. The Greek text says he had compassion, splanchnizomai. It refers to inward organs, a visceral, gut-level pity. It is never polite sympathy. In the New Testament, this specific emotion always moves somebody's feet. He pours out his own oil and wine, gives up his own animal for the man to ride, spends his own money at the inn, and promises to return to settle the final bill. Crossing a boundary requires you to actually pay the toll. In the summer of 1873, a cholera epidemic swept through Nashville, Tennessee, killing nearly 1,000 people. Church leader David Lipscomb did not tell his congregation to lock their doors and wait out the danger. He sent young men out into the hardest hit, poorest communities in the city to nurse the sick and dying. It was dangerous, unglamorous work, and they did it without once checking the church membership roll before offering a cup of water. A month after I drove past the ambulance in that driveway, a woman at the hardware store told me the man on the porch had died that night, and she casually mentioned that years ago he had asked her what church it was that all those cars went to on Wednesday nights. He had wondered about it for 11 years. Jesus finishes his story on the Jericho Road by turning the lawyer's initial question inside out. He shifts the focus from who qualifies as my neighbor to a much sharper demand. Which of these three proved to be a neighbor? That porch light was on the entire time. It was never hidden from me. It was a daily, visible call to action right there on my commute. Compassion provides the oil and wine for a physical wound, but its true power is that it opens the door. The gospel is what we carry through that door to heal the soul. A neighborhood is not a category you can manage or a boundary you can fence off. It is a mission field, defined by absolutely whoever God places in your path today.